Research says that leadership development directly influences organizational performance. Leadership development expands the capacity of individuals to perform in leadership roles within organizations. And it also boosts employee engagement, increases the organization's ability to align talent, and empowers others in working at peak performance. Leadership development is not just about developing leaders. It's about creating a culture of ownership, accountability, and outcomes. And one of the communication distinctions that we show leaders is their human wiring. And we found that the greater their awareness about how they are naturally wired, paired with other proven leadership distinctions, the more effective they are. The more effective they are in managing their natural impulses that can get in the way of effectively working with others. The more effective they are in listening in a new way that allows them to communicate authentically and effectively, and increasing the leader's capacity to have generative conversations that really enroll the high performance talent, enroll investors, even strategic relationships. See, when we work with leaders who own businesses at our Wake Up Profitable boot camp for business owners, the first step that we take is mastering your inner entrepreneur. And it's based on the premise that you develop the inside and then the outside changes. But most people think, gee, if the economy or circumstances on the outside change, then I'll be successful or happy or whatever. However, in our 20 years in developing leaders, we have found that when a leader looks into their limiting belief systems and understands their unique wiring, they begin to see how they've been disempowered or got in the way of their own outcomes. It also reminds me of the story of a gentleman who was always upset. He always seemed upset. He was authoritative in his communication style, often directing someone, you need to do this. He was naturally wired to create and act on his own ideas, and he liked his ideas best. And he also didn't experience any awareness training, so he didn't even realize that he often dismissed other people's ideas. Now, while he achieved financial results for his company, he often rubbed others the wrong way, leaving others disempowered. And one day he was complaining about how the fulfillment department didn't produce a client's order to the specifications. Well, in that moment, he articulated his limiting belief and the limiting belief upon which he took action. He said, "These people are so stupid." Now imagine leading from the belief of these people are so stupid. Now, whether he articulates it or not, this negative belief is in his space with every interaction. And with each breakdown, he will look for evidence on how others are inadequate. Add on to that, he is naturally wired to create and act on his own ideas, believing his ideas are the best ideas. Add on to that, if he's creating a story or making an assumption about the breakdown, that maybe he doesn't feel people are listening or doing what he says. So his impulsive reaction is to jump to a conclusion, blame others, to point out the shortcomings of others, to get upset, not consider his own accountability or responsibility in the breakdown. See, the reason fixing problems doesn't deliver expected outcomes is that the result is only solved at a superficial level. See, what's often left untouched are those underlying dynamics that perpetuate the problem. In this case, the fulfillment problem might be solved short-term using a directive, authoritative approach, only to have that problem recur, causing other employee relations issues. So imagine what might be available for him as a leader, for the team and the organization, if he chooses to be curious versus upset. Instead of jumping to a conclusion and getting upset, choose to be curious, inviting others to provide input. Now, if you're wired for instant results, you're going to have to tap into your inner patience. Avoid trying to solve why the breakdown occurred and instead ask questions and invite feedback. See, oftentimes leaders try to fix and troubleshoot rather than engage others. Then they feel that they have the weight of the decision making. When you come and fix situations, you're creating a culture where people go to you for the answers. When you engage them and ask for help in solving the problem, you help to level up their problem-solving skill. Number 2, shifting his own negative belief. So if he shifted his negative belief, it would make a real difference. Now, you've heard of the Pygmalion effect, where the Rosenthal and Jacobson focused on an experiment at an elementary school where students took intelligence tests. And they informed the teachers of the names of 20% of the students in the school who were showing unusual potential for intellectual growth. And they would bloom academically within the year. But unknown to the teachers, these students were selected randomly with no relation to the initial test. So when students were tested 8 months later, guess what? They discovered that the randomly selected students who teachers thought would bloom scored significantly higher. Now, why does that Pygmalion effect occur? Well, if you think your team can't achieve much, you're not too bright, you may be inclined not to develop them. Give them simple assignments, create a recurring cycle, ending up with the same results. Well, shift instead your internal belief and interact with the staff as capable, reliable, trustworthy, and watch what different ideas are generated, what different actions are taken, and how the outcomes are achieved. See, underdeveloped leaders collapse a situation and they make a judgment. They come to a conclusion. They make an assumption. Well, the client order is incorrect and that person is, insert a name calling. See, this reactionary collapse of what happens does little more than put people on the defensive. It gives the impression you don't care and sets the stage for conflict. But if you want to influence a change on the outside, you've got to change the inside. So will breakdowns occur? Maybe. And how you show up matters in shifting that trajectory and frequency of the breakdowns. Now, what if the leader also takes full ownership in producing a possibilities-based outcome? See, in a broke-fixed culture, finger-pointing is the norm. In creating a possibilities-based culture, he would take full ownership. So it might start with asking himself a question, such as, did I work with and communicate appropriately and timely with the other department? Did I train my team appropriately? Did I put in quality control systems? Did I perform ongoing training for the team to reinforce the standards? Did I regularly meet cross-departmentally, proactively, creating a seamless fulfillment process? See, many company cultures that are built on the broke-fix model use the blame, shame, guilt, name-calling when a breakdown occurs. And this rise to judgment does nothing to level up the team. And number 4, what if he chooses instead to enroll others in that possibility? See, in a broke-fix model and culture, people approach the breakdown from something's broken rather than possibilities-based of what they're striving to live into. See, in a possibilities-based model, you first develop that possibility. And in this case, the possibility they're striving for is perfect orders. Well, to achieve perfect orders, a leader can ask, gee, what was missing? And if we put it in, would help us achieve that outcome. Imagine what could be created if he did. New beliefs, new ways of showing up, new context, and new possibilities. I'm Lisa Manini. Until next week, create a great life.